first of all, thank you for allowing me. Yes, and as Veronica said, I'm a functional pharmacist. I have fun helping men and women over the age of 40 with their health, with their energy, just feeling better, right? And before I even go into that, I want to share a story with you that I love. It's a fantastic story. And it's a story about Matt Emmons. Have you ever heard of Matt Emmons before? Typically, when I ask this question, nobody has. But if you talk about the US Olympics back in 2004, Matt Emmons was actually a sharpshooter, and he was the best in the world. In fact, in 2003, Matt Emmons was the world record. He was the world champion, and he was just a great shooter. And he the 50-meter shooting, and in 2004, he was in the Athens Olympics. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I love the Athens. I mean, I love the Olympic stories. The stories are just amazing. In fact, I find myself watching the stories more than actually watching the Olympics, because their stories are so heartfelt, typically about kids that had so many problems growing up, and somehow, some way, the parents overcame so much, and yet they're so successful in their sport. So I love the stories, and Matt's story is great. Well, Matt in 2004, he was the best of the best, okay? He was so good, he had already won several gold medals in the US Olympics, and he was down to his last event. It was a 50-meter event, and all he had to do was shoot somewhere on the target, and he would win a gold medal. He was so far ahead of the competition that he just had to shoot the paper. Now, Matt got up there like he always does, and very confident. He gets his rifle in his arms. He starts breathing in and breathing out, trying to control his heart rate. And if any of you know what I'm talking about, maybe you have hunters in the family, or maybe you're a hunter yourself. You got to control your breathing. You got to control your heart rate. You got to get down, right? So that there's no movement. And then he goes in. You typically do it 4 or 5 times, in and then out, and then in and then out. And of course, the 3rd or 4th time he goes in, it's on the out breath that you hold your breath, and then you just squeeze the trigger ever so gently without pulling or jerking, and boom, he shoots the bullseye. I mean, perfect bullseye. But what's interesting, Paula, Dolores, is that with that shot, first place to 8th place. Now, how could that be? Now, I don't know if Veronica, I don't know if they have their microphones on or if they can talk, but can you interact? I mean, how could that have happened? If you guys are there and you want to interact, yeah. How could they have gone from how could he have gone from 1st place to 5th place and 8th place? Anybody want to guess? No takers?
You can take yourselves off of mute if you have the answer to his question.
Looks like we have no takers.
No
problem. This is what happened. Matt was so excited. He got on down his range. He was actually shooting the wrong target. Think about that. This world record holder, the best of the best, all he had to do was shoot the target and win, and he shoots the wrong target. And I tell you this story because this guy's the best of the best. Now, I ask you guys, how many at the wrong target, right? On a daily basis, are we doing the wrong things? We think we're doing the right things, but we're shooting at the wrong target. Sometimes we don't even know what our target is, right? And that's where the 4 pillars of health come in. I love the 4 pillars of health. And the way I came up with this is I've traveled all over the United States, learning from other doctors, from other practitioners of health and wellness. And when you listen to everything, it really comes down to these 4 things. These are like the foundation, the pillars of health, which is why we call them the pillars of health. And one is sleep. The next one is stress management. One is nutrition. So sleep, stress, nutrition, and exercise. And let me pull up my slideshow for you guys. Can you see that? Veronica, can you see that?
Yes, I can see it.
All right. There's Matt with all his gold medals and silver medals and champion. I mean, even 2016, he was competing. But But if he can miss the bullseye, how often are we, who are general practitioners, missing the bullseye? It happens, right? And like I said, we're going to be talking about the 4 pillars of health, talking about sleep, talking about stress management, talking about nutrition and exercise. And what I was told and what I learned when I was learning about these things is that there's this group of people, actually women, who they're in the best health. They're in the best shape of their lives. They're in their 50s and 60s, and they're doing it outstanding. I mean, they have no stress. They're eating perfect meals. They're getting massages weekly. They're exercising daily with their friends. They're just having a good time. And these women tend to be women who are married to CEOs of these big old corporations, right? And so they're at their country clubs and they're having fun and they have cooks to cook their meals. I don't know anybody like that, but these women are the ones that are stress-free and living a great life. And when I learned this, I said, you know what? This is not too hard. This is something I want to take back, and I want to, share it with everybody, because these are things that we can do. These are things that I implement myself. These are things I implement with my patients, my students, and my family. So that's what the 4 pillars of health are. And we're going to go into the first one is sleep. And there's a quote from William Dement: "You're not healthy unless your sleep is healthy." And so typically when I'm talking to a group of people, I ask you guys, hey, who's sleeping on a regular basis? How many of you are sleeping well, right? And somebody usually says, oh, I sleep 8 hours, 7. I go, how do you know? Do you measure it? They're like, oh, no, I kind of just feel like I'm doing it. Well, if we're not measuring it, how do we know we're sleeping well? So again, I ask you guys, how many hours a night are you sleeping? And is it uninterrupted sleep? The benefits of sleep are better skin, health, and more youthful appearance. We know these things, right? Think about your 3rd trimester of a pregnancy. Your progesterone levels are up, your hair looks good, you're sleeping more, your nails look good. Sleep is amazing. There's emotional regeneration and better relationships. There's a decreased risk of stroke and cardiovascular disease. There's fewer accidents, lower levels of inflammation, and enhanced immune system. I mean, think about it. When we're not sleeping, our inflammation goes up, right? When we're not sleeping, we tend to get sick more often. And you may have friends or loved ones who are just working so much that they get chronically sick. Oftentimes it's just a lack of sleep, right? There's a faster rate of weight loss when there's a lack of sleep. There's decreased pain when the benefits of sleep include faster rate of weight loss. I work with patients when one of the first things that I do with them when they're wanting to lose weight is I work on their sleep. And believe it or not, just by changing their sleep, we can lose weight, decrease pain, stronger bones, lower risk of Alzheimer's disease, and cognitive decline. I want to focus on that real quick because there's more and more research coming out regarding the correlation between a lack of sleep and the risk for Alzheimer's. And we're going to get to that here in a little bit. But I want to highlight that they're saying more and more that we're not sleeping at night. We're not sleeping regularly, following the circadian rhythm. There is a correlation with Alzheimer's and cognitive decline. And I know as we age, that's a very important thing to look at. Another thing, of course, is longevity. And so while we're sleeping, right? Actually, while we're awake, we're in a catabolic state. Catabolic means breaking things down. So right now our cells are breaking down and then they're growing and they're breaking down. And it's while we're sleeping that we're in an anabolic state where we're building our muscles, where we're building our DNA. Sleep is an elevated anabolic state. So if we're not getting into that sleep, we actually are in a catabolic state. And you may have friends or family members who have worked as nurses or doctors or night shift workers. And you see that they start aging really fast, where they're not sleeping because of stress. They start aging, they look really bad. Another great example that I don't have here, but if you look at President Clinton, before his presidency and after his presidency, there was a big change. And you can see how stress and how the lack of sleep really did a thing to him. It's really bad. Of course, sleep also helps with rejuvenation of the immune system, the skeletal and muscular systems. Sleep rebuilds you and keeps you youthful, right? Very important. Sleep, high quality sleep fortifies the immune system. It balances hormones. It boosts your metabolism, increases your physical energy, and improves function of your brain. These are all benefits. My world is in hormones. I love and work a lot with hormones with men and women. And it's just proven over and over. The science and the research is there. If we're not sleeping, it will affect our hormones. In our culture, sleep is not respected. To be successful means we must work harder. We need to sleep less. We can catch up on sleep when we are dead. I mean, how many of you have heard that before over and over, right? It's just not true. We need to sleep. We need to use sleep to help us get through life. And I love this quote. Let me get my, it's blocking, the camera's blocking it, so I can't see it. And I can't see my cursor. Let's see, research shows that after just 20 deprivation, there is an overall reduction of 6% in glucose reaching the brain. Now, 6% doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a lot when it comes to glucose. And so it can actually detrimentally affect our ability to make decisions. A study published in the American Academy of Sleep Medicine, poor sleep quality was equal to binge drinking and marijuana use in determining academic performance. So they actually got students, they actually let them, they made them not sleep, and then they graded them on tests, and they just were very poor performers. Now I want to point out the lymphatic system. Most of us have heard of the lymphatic system. In fact, when we're talking about cancer, when we're talking about immune diseases, we're familiar with the lymphatic system. Lymph nodes, we have them throughout the body, in our necks, our body, are all over the body, really. And what they do is they catch cellular waste and they help remove it from the body. Well, our brain has something called the lymphatic system, which is very similar to the lymphatic system. And it catches cellular waste and removes it from the brain. And then it allows new growth and development. And it removes the dead cells, toxins, and waste in the brain. And this is where the correlation between memory loss and sleep comes in. Okay, the lymphatic system is critical to brain function. During sleep, it becomes 10 times more active. The inability of your brain to remove waste products is believed to be a foundational cause of Alzheimer's disease. So I really want to highlight that again. If you're not sleeping at night, especially between the hours of 10 p.m. and 2 a.m., that's when your lymphatic system really goes into hyperactive mode, and that's when it's getting rid of that waste. If we miss that window, I mean, you know how you feel when you wake up, when you're up all night, 2 or 3 in the morning, you go to sleep, and the next morning you actually feel like you have inflammation, you just don't feel good, you can't get moving. This is a big reason why. And so what I always suggest to my patients when I'm working with them, I work with patients one-on-one, and as I say, schedule your sleep. When you think about your life, right? When we think about our lives, we schedule everything else first. And really the foundation, if our goal is to feel energized, to feel good, we should be scheduling our sleep. My sleep is scheduled in my calendar. I know that my target is 8 p.m. every night. There are some exceptions, of course. I do have 4 kids, 4 little kids, a 10-year-old, a 9-year-old, 8-year-old, and a 6-year-old. So that does change. But my sleep is scheduled. And so I challenge you guys to actually reframe the idea of sleep and make it a priority. I actually schedule my sleep first, then my nutrition, and then the activities with my family, my wife, my kids. I actually go through this one-on-one with my patients when I'm working with them. So how do we get more sleep? What can we do, right? If you're having issues with sleep, get more sunlight during the day. In fact, wake up in the morning, go for a nice walk, just to get that sunlight in your eyes. Melatonin is actually produced by the pineal gland naturally as it gets darker, and it sends signals to our cells to prepare for sleep. Yet it declines as we age. So that's one of the reasons that why, as we get older, we have trouble sleeping. This is one of the reasons amongst many. And here's a nice little chart showing your melatonin production. And so you can see on the x-axis on the left side at 12 a.m., you have a low production of melatonin. And then over the time, it increases. increases and increases. And between 12 p.m. and 4 a.m., you can see that big spike in melatonin. All right. Melatonin production increases in the evening, and then it normalizes in the afternoon. Yet there's the counterpart, right? We talk about melatonin helping you sleep. Well, there's also the counterpart, which is cortisol. Cortisol gives you the energy to wake up in the morning. It's almost like caffeine. Allows you to be awake and alert, helps with strength, and helps you live every day. Overproduction and underproduction lead to problems. So it's a balance of cortisol that we want, right? And here's a graph of cortisol. Again, on the x-axis at 6 a.m., you can see that that elevated state between 7 and 8 a.m. And then over the course of the day, between 9 and 10 p.m., it decreases. And so we take the two, melatonin, we take cortisol, we place those over the same graph, and we can actually use this information to our benefit to follow our own circadian rhythm and find the right times to sleep. So you can see at 6, 7 a.m., that's when you have a decline in melatonin and an increase in cortisol. Actually, should be wanting to wake up between 6, 7, and 8 a.m. That's the ideal time to wake up to follow your circadian rhythm. And then at night, you can see the path crossing between 6 and 7 p.m. You know, for us, most of the people, it's too early. But like I said, this is one of the reasons why I go to bed at 8 a.m. because I know the science. I know what the research says. So I'm in bed by 8 p.m. I'm not asleep by 8 p.m., but I am in bed by 8 p.m. trying to take advantage of this, right? And so what I tell my patients to do when I'm working with them is I say, listen, try to wake up at 6 a.m. First thing in the morning, get out, get some sunlight, allow that sunlight to hit the eyeballs. That communicates with the pineal gland, and actually tells your body to produce melatonin, 14, 15 hours later to help you sleep. That's the beginning of the sleep process. And then at night, we don't want to miss that window of opportunity, because if we do miss that window of opportunity, that cortisol level will start spiking. And then, if you are a night owl, you probably feel that late at night, 1, 2, 3 in the morning, that cortisol level comes up, and all of a sudden, man, I'm energized. I got my second win. But guess what? You get your second win, you're in bed by 4 or 5, and then you can't wake up at 7. Guess what? Your brain didn't clean itself out through the lymphatic system. You have a lot of inflammation, and you don't feel good. So ideally, you're waking up between 6 and 8. And you're going to bed between 8, no later than 10 p.m. I know most people don't do that. So if you're laughing, it's okay. I'm just giving you the science. Of course, we want to avoid screens before bedtime. So just like this, I don't know if you're on your phone at home or a laptop or an iPad. I think Paula's on an iPad. Those blue lights do affect our sleep. Our eyes think it's sunlight. And so it decreases the melatonin production and actually increases the cortisol production. So we want to stop looking at our screens, our phone screens, or our iPads or televisions. That blue light that's coming from there actually prevents us from sleeping. And it takes longer for us to fall asleep when we don't do this. We feel less sleepy at night. We have shorter REM sleep, and we're more tired the next day, even with 8 hours of sleep, because it's not quality sleep. So my question to you, if you want to participate now, Dolores, Paula, is what would you do instead of being on your iPhone playing Candy Crush or texting people or watching YouTube videos? What's an alternative to doing those things? Anybody want to try? Type a message in the text box. And I know Veronica knows. She's seen this presentation like 3 times. Anybody?
No, I don't have anybody yet.
Well, read a book, right? Read a book. Why can't we read books I have books right here. Read a book, right? That's a good way to do it. get off your devices. It seems like nowadays we have to be on our devices. We have FOMO. What is FOMO? Fear of missing out. And so everybody's on their devices. Ideally, 1.5 hours before bedtime, put your phone in sleep mode. Use a blue light blocker if possible. There is an app called f.lux that helps with the blue light. The iPhones have a night setting, but there's still blue light being emitted from it. It helps, but it's not perfect. Okay. All right. So you also want to limit your caffeine consumption. Most people don't realize this, but the half-life or the amount of time that caffeine is in your body is 5 to 8 hours. So if I'm drinking a cup of coffee at 12 p.m., I can have coffee in my system 5 to 8 hours at 5 p.m., 8 p.m. still. And it affects our nervous system. It affects the endocrine system and the adrenal glands. The adrenal glands and the cortisol are what we call anti-sleep hormones. And so they prevent us from sleeping, just like I mentioned in the slides. So caffeine will have the effect on the adrenal glands, which produces more cortisol, which will prevent us from sleeping at night. So am I saying avoid caffeine? No. What I'm saying is avoid at what time you have caffeine. You can also swap out coffee for strong caffeinated tea, such as English breakfast tea, Earl Grey tea, pure tea, yerba mate. Those are great alternatives. Generally stop caffeine consumption before 2 p.m. Me personally, I stop at 12 p.m. I will not drink coffee or have caffeinated beverages after 12 because I'm sensitive to caffeine. It's different for everybody. Some of us are able to get the caffeine through our liver fast. We're fast acetylators, and some of us are slow acetylators. And so it's in our system. I've had patients that I work with who they have green tea, which has very little, it has caffeine in it, but not as much as coffee, and they're up all night. Very sensitive to caffeine. So everybody's different. So you'll know what you can do. Use caffeine first thing in the morning. I do drink 1 cup of coffee first thing in the morning, and I use it 2 days on and 3 days off so that my body doesn't get used to it. So you can cycle it as well. Also, temperature influences sleep. You know, the optimal room temperature, according to research, is between 60 and 68 degrees. Usually when I say this, somebody in the room goes, what? There's no way. Yep, I don't get that low either. 68 is way too cold for me. But in my house, we're at 72 at night. What will also help is using a warm bath 1.5 to 2 hours before bed, and a chili pad mattress pad. I have one of these. You can Google it. It's a mattress you put on top of your bed. It has water circulating through it, and it allows you to control the temperature of your bed. My wife, she likes it hot. I like it cold. We're fighting about whether the fan should be on or not. This saved, I don't say it saved our marriage, but it saved my ability to sleep, because I can take that temperature down to 59 on my mattress while her side is warm, and I can sleep nice and comfortable at night. So that helps big time. I mean, I cannot tell you how much it helps. It helps tremendously. Again, the optimal time for bed is between 9 p.m. and 11 p.m. You want to get sunlight as soon as possible when waking up. Shift work does not help your health. It just makes things worse, right? So I try to get shift workers to change their shifts as soon as possible. Now, regarding sleep cycles, when we're asleep, we're typically going through 1.5 hours per cycle. So we'll actually go into a deep sleep and then come out, deep sleep, come out. Generally speaking, when you're having normal sleep, 8 hours, you're hitting 4 to 6 cycles per night. Okay. And so what I use to measure my sleep, and anytime I work with patients, I ask them to download this app. So write this down. This is something I would highly recommend that you get. It's free. It's a free app. And this allows you to measure your sleep. So that when people ask you, which nobody asks you unless you meet me in person, I'll ask you, hey, how do you sleep? You say, oh, I sleep pretty good. How do you know that? Well, I measure my sleep. I have a sleep cycle. Cool. And so what you do is you put it close to your bed. It actually uses a microphone to determine your movements. And that algorithm, a pretty cool algorithm, it's actually pretty accurate to determine whether you're awake or not. This is what sleep cycle information gives back to you. So you can see the wake at the top, sleep in the middle, and then deep sleep at the bottom. So this person had 1, 2, 3, 4 cycles, and I'm measuring the deep sleep. That person's going into a deep sleep. That first curve, second curve, third curve, or valley. First valley, second valley, third valley, fourth valley. I'm not counting the very, very first one. It's the first and second are like 1. He doesn't come out of that deep sleep. And then here's another example of what you'll see on your sleep cycle app. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cycles. This person is dead. Now this person didn't set it up correctly, so it's flatlined, just not correctly set up. And then here's a weird one. Got 1, 2, maybe 3, and then woke up, couldn't go back to sleep, then finally went back to sleep at before 6, and then you have another one before 7. And this is my personal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cycles. I was in bed this night at 10 p.m., 9:59. I woke up at 4:14 a.m. That's what I typically wake up between 3:30 and 4. Sleep quality was 79%. Time in bed was 6 hours and 14 minutes. My wife always told me that I snored. I said, no, I don't snore. Well, according to the sleep cycle app, I do. I guess I do. And you can actually listen to it. It's pretty cool. The microphone records all that stuff. So I highly recommend that you download the sleep cycle. What gets measured gets improved. That's a quote from Peter Drucker. And if we don't measure our sleep, how can we improve it? There's also a Whoop strap that I've been using. I've had this, actually they have a 4.0. I'm wearing it right now. This gives you great information also. I use the sleep cycle app with this, and this really works awesome. It's got the resting heart rate. It's got your sleep, and measures your sleep and measures your activity throughout the day. And people always ask, well, what's the difference between this and an Apple phone, an Apple Watch and all that? Well, this stays on you for 3 days. It stays on all the time. It's measuring all the time. I don't know if you can see that light. Can you see that, Veronica, or not?
Yeah, I can see
but
it.
It's always on. It's always measuring. It's always measuring. So you get a lot of data from this. It's pretty cool. Use it as well to measure my sleep, measure my stress levels, measure my recovery. It tells me recommends what time I go to sleep based on my output during the day. It's fantastic. Here's another app I found. It's called Paziz. I really, really love this app as well. This is great for naps. I recommend naps no more than 45 minutes. And I'm the king of naps. I take 30 to 45-minute naps when I can, and I use this app to get me to sleep. The sounds on here just allow you to relax quickly and fast. I've got 3 businesses, working with all kinds of people. I need to be able to shut down their brain fast. This helps with that. It's just really relaxing. Highly recommend the Paziz app. It's fantastic. So what should we be eating, right? We talk about sleep. Now, what can we do to help with sleep? What can we do with nutrition? Here's a really cool thing that most people don't know about. 95% of our serotonin is in the gut. The serotonin is a hormone that we actually make. We work out, we exercise. That feel-good hormone, the way we feel, work out, is serotonin, right? And 95% of it comes from the gut. So if we're having gut issues, we're having GI issues, guess what? We're not producing serotonin, or there's a reduction in serotonin. The neurotransmitters are found in the GI tract. The gut is often called the second brain. It's 400 times more melatonin in the gut than in the pineal gland. So our serotonin and our melatonin are actually being produced in the gut. So if we're not taking care of our nutrition, we're decreasing our ability to produce these hormones, these neurotransmitters, and then we don't feel good. Eat the right foods to sleep. Vitamin D3, you can get that in salmon, tuna, sunlight, of course, omega-3 and chia seeds, hemp seeds, pumpkin seeds, walnuts, salmon, flax seeds. B6 is crucial. Cashews, almonds, avocados, tomatoes, spinach, eggs. Probiotics such as sauerkraut, kimchi, kombucha. I do use pharmaceutical grade supplements. Alpha Base on the right has all these things in it. Highly recommend that. It's something that I take daily myself. Magnesium is fantastic. I love, love, love magnesium. It's probably the number one thing that all of my patients, students use. It's cheap and it works really well. The key is it has to be magnesium glycinate. You can see that in the picture. Glycinate salt form is super important. Your magnesium chloride, those go right. There's like 13, 14 different salt forms, and they just go right through you, make you have diarrhea. This is actually absorbed, highly absorbable. And so it helps with stress, helps balance blood sugar. I use it with my diabetic patients, helps with blood pressure, helps with relaxation, reduces pain, calms the nervous system. I mean, magnesium, we are typically deficient in it, and it's used in over 300 different cycles in our system. So highly recommend that. It is weight-based, so dependent, the amount that you take is based on your weight, but typically anywhere between 200 and 500 milligrams per day. 80% of the population is deficient in magnesium. It's important for optimizing sleep. I take magnesium every night before bed, and it's responsible, like I said, for over 300 enzyme reactions in our bodies. A deficiency leads to chronic insomnia. Oftentimes when people are having problems sleeping, I give them magnesium, and that's all it takes. They feel fantastic. They sleep, less clutter in their brain, less brain chatter. Quality is extremely important. I have used inferior magnesiums. They just don't work. You want a pharmaceutical grade like pure encapsulations, orthomolecular. There's several out there. But again, magnesium glycinate is what you want. And you'll notice it. You'll feel it when you get the right one. The bedroom is a sleep haven. So the bedroom should be used for sleep only. So we want to remove work from there. We want to remove the television. We want to remove devices. You know, it's hard to do that sometimes. I mean, we have a television in our room. It's rarely on. It's on the wall, so I can't just take it out. But my wife has wanted to bring computers in there. I'm like, nope, don't bring the computers in here. Don't bring work in here. I mean, our room is pretty big. We actually do have a desk in there, but we don't bring the work in there. So you want to make sure that, hey, the bedroom is for sleep and sometimes, other fun things. Also, you want to get a nice house plant, and I recommend the Perennial snake plant. This has been researched by NASA. It absorbs carbon dioxide, which is not good for us, and it releases oxygen, which is really good for us. The unique thing about these snake plants is that it'll actually produce oxygen morning and night. Most plants only produce it during the day, during daylight, and the snake plant will produce oxygen at night. We have them throughout the house. I highly recommend them. They're easy to maintain. You can actually take them off, separate them, and make other plants from that one. They're fantastic. So if you don't have one, you should get one. You can get them at any Home Depot, Lowe's, etc. Now let's get to exercise. We talk about sleep. We talk about stress a little bit, nutrition. We'll get into stress a little bit more, but exercise and sleep. Exercise is considered by some to be the fountain of youth. Your muscles release an anti-aging hormones that protect your DNA from oxidation. When you sleep, your body releases a large amount of beneficial hormones. It's actually after the workout, while you sleep, that you benefit from the exercise. Exercise improves insulin sensitivity. All of my diabetics, I recommend to them that they at least walk, boosts healthy hormone function, and improves your metabolism. When you work out is also important. According to a study at the Appalachian State University, 7 a.m. is the best time to work out. People slept longer, they had lower blood pressure throughout the day. So in general, working out in the morning is better for sleep. Now, I know some people work out in the afternoon, like, hey, wait, that's the only time I have to work out. Hey, if you can work out in the afternoon, great. And if you know that it's not interrupting your sleep, fantastic. But if you can work out in the morning, work out in the morning. That way it'll actually help you with your sleep at night. There's also something called telomeres. Maybe you've heard of them, maybe you haven't. Relatively new discovery in science. And they look like end caps, part of the DNA. And certain lifestyle practices can either slow down or accelerate the loss of telomere length, right? Sleep deprivation is one of the single biggest triggers for accelerated loss of your telomere length. So these telomeres, they look like little, the ends of your shoelaces, right? Those little plastic things. And as we age, they get shorter and shorter and shorter. And so our DNA, they're at the end of the DNA, as they get shorter, we have chronic illness. So to prevent that from happening, sleep, stress, nutrition, exercise. Exercise is also a hormetic stressor. A low dose is good for you, high dose is bad for you. The example I like to use with this is a pressure cooker. How many of you have an Instapot or a pressure cooker at home, right? Hey, if we take that meat, we take those potatoes, we put it in an Instapot or a pressure cooker, we cook it for 10 minutes, man, we have a fantastic meal in 10 minutes typically. But if we leave it in there for 45 minutes, it turns to mush, right? Same thing with exercise. The way what the science recommends, we have small, short workouts because of the same thing. Conventional jogging is a catabolic exercise which breaks down the muscles. If the purpose for running is not fat loss, but instead meditative and something you enjoy, make sure you get good sleep, right? For the best hormonal response, lift heavy weights. This will secrete more anabolic hormones. You'll feel better, you'll look better, and you'll sleep better. There's a misconception that women lifting heavy weights will make them bulky. And you can see that picture on the right. That's one of my friends, Ida Leach. She's in this picture, she's 83 years old, lifting weights, doing fantastic things, and she still works out. She still keeps in touch with me. Because of COVID, she's no longer, but she still keeps, and she just sent me a text message this weekend. I'm still doing 100 push-ups. I'm still doing my sit-ups. I'm doing my walks. She's still fantastic.
And she ran marathons
By lifting
too.
weights, you can actually change your body's composition. Yeah, she marathons, 5K. She's amazing. Mm-hmm. World-class athletes sleep 8 to 10 hours. Sleep is extremely important to me. I need to rest and recover in order for the training I do to be absorbed by my body. And again, here she is. This is Ida on the left when she first met me, and Ida on the right after she met me. I love these pictures because, man, they say a lot. You know, a lot of people, I meet a lot of women. I work with women over the age of 40. I have a small group class that I work with, and they're in their 60s, right? And they all have proven that these other people that say, oh, I'm too old for this, my body, I can't lose weight, there's no way. This is a great example at age 83 where her body composition has changed dramatically. And I have other pictures of her, I guess they're not in here. Her backside also, you can see the love handles have gone away. She just looks fantastic. Super proud of Ida. So exercise and sleep. For better sleep, do some type of activity in the early morning. If you are serious about being a healthier person, you can schedule exercise and sleep time first, then schedule everything else. And that's how I do it. Work out with a partner. So if you guys know each other, hey, walking every morning is amazing. You get fantastic results from walking. Work out with a partner or a group of people that will hold you accountable. When you first start working out, people may not support you, so it's important to find a group of like-minded people. Exercise impacts your sleep, and sleep impacts your exercise. So we got to be doing both. You want to lift weights at least twice a week. Focus on compound lifts and utilize supersets for maximizing fat loss and optimizing hormones for a better night. If you can find a personal trainer, I highly recommend it, or a coach that knows how to do these things, I highly, highly recommend it because they can guide you and the benefits are amazing. You want to do this with guidance. So stress management, again, one of the 4 pillars, right? I recommend that my students meditate for 15 to 20 minutes daily. Guided meditation is to help with sleep. Use guided meditation to start. For example, Deepak Chopra, if you've ever heard of him, he's fantastic. Meditation helps you to fall asleep. You can use this breathing technique, which I love, to actually relax you if you're stressed. And so if I'm having problems sleeping, what I'll do is I'll breathe in for 4 seconds. I'll hold for 7, and then I'll expel for 8. I'll do 5 to 10 rounds of that. So this is what it looks like. So I'll breathe in, I'm holding, and then I'm out, breathing out. Then I breathe in, hold, and then I breathe out. What's cool about this sleep, with this breathing, is that when I'm breathing in, right, for 4, that's excitatory, my system gets excited. Then I hold it, and then I start going into a relaxed state. And then my 8 seconds out is very relaxing. So I'm actually using my nervous system to overall become relaxed. In addition to that, I'm breathing in a 4 count of oxygen, but I'm expelling an 8 count of carbon dioxide. So we're also cleaning the lungs, cleaning the blood system in this process. So you got 2 things going on. We're using our autonomic nervous system to relax, and we're actually cleansing our blood and our lungs with increased oxygen and decreased output of carbon dioxide. So it's a great. Highly recommend you write that down. Breathe in for 4, hold for 7, and breathe out for 8. Supplementation, organic chamomile tea. Man, I love chamomile tea. Veronica, do you drink chamomile tea?
Oh, I love chamomile tea.
Yeah. I'll have that before bed. In fact, I had a cup last night. Kava tea, I've never had, but research shows that it's good. Valerian root, you can have the tea, you can have capsules, magnesium, glycinate, I mentioned that earlier. L-theanine is an amino acid. You can take that before bed. It's fantastic. I use that as well. And L-theanine is also, I use that with my patients when they have anxiety throughout the day. Just wanted to point that out. We'll use that when I'm helping patients get off of their anxiety medications. We'll use L-theanine. Also, massage therapy improves sleep and increases serotonin levels, activates your parasympathetic nervous system, which helps you with relaxation and rest and digest. And it increases oxytocin and reduction in cortisol. Oxytocin is that love hormone. When you have a baby, the baby wants to be close to you. It's oxytocin. Also, when your partner wants to be close to you. But massage therapy is awesome. If I could do it every day, I would. Can't afford it. If I could do it once a week, I do it. Can't afford it. So I try to do it at least once a month, right? Even that's expensive. But massage therapy is amazing. And if you can't afford massage therapy, no problem. Hey, we can do, here's the benefits of a massage. Normalization of blood pressure, reduced inflammation, reduced pain, and improved mobility. There's improved symptoms of anxiety and depression, reduction in migraines and headaches, reduction of stress hormones, improved immune system function. There's also acupressure, myofascial release, which is also a type of massage, flexology, Swedish massage, and sports massage. My favorite is sports massage. Mm-hmm. You can also do self-massage. You can use foam rollers, which are fantastic right before bed. Lacrosse balls, tennis balls, use these devices to massage your body by yourself before bed. I recommend it 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes at night, but before bed, it will actually help also decrease stress and increase serotonin levels. Now, this is pretty much the end of the presentation, but overall, we've been talking about sleep, we've been talking about stress, we've been talking about nutrition, we've been talking about exercise. The reality is that we all want to feel better. We want to have more energy. We want to feel good and look good, right? And so one of the things that I've added to the end of this presentation, and Veronica is actually familiar with, is the 5-day energy challenge. And I don't know if you went through this. I know that you signed up for it, Veronica, mm-hmm. but it's a 5-day energy challenge success guide that I'm gonna, if you want it, you can have it for free. And it's guided. There's daily quick charge checklists to track your progress. There's a Facebook group support if you want to be part of that. And you'll get daily emails to help keep you motivated on track. And it's great. And so if you want this, just scan that barcode with your phone and sign up, and you'll automatically get that. It's fantastic. I mean, it's what I use myself. It's something that I've produced to help my students and my patients so they can keep track of what they're doing. Because a lot of people, most people, 99% of the people that I meet and work with, that's what their complaint is. I have no energy. Well, guess what? We just went through the 4 pillars of health. If you can optimize those things, you're going to be in a much better place, right? Well, this 5-day energy challenge will actually help you take those action steps, right? So that you can actually have better energy.